have you ever been there? You're speaking English, maybe putting together a really good sentence, Like the grammar feels right, the words are okay, but it just comes out sounding, I don't know, a bit stiff.
Like reading from a script.
Yeah, exactly. Like a textbook robot. You can communicate, sure, but describing your day, your habits, it feels awkward.
Hmm.
Or maybe just unclear.
That's a really common roadblock,
Yeah.
especially when you're getting more advanced. You want that natural flow, that authenticity.
Right, and people often think, oh, I need to learn thousands of rare idioms or, super complex sentences.
Yeah, or that it takes years and years of constant study, that fear of mistakes, or I don't have time for this huge effort.
But what we're looking at today, based on our sources, kind of flips that idea.
It really does. The key often isn't these big, complex things. It's actually mastering a few really small, common words.
Tiny words that make a massive difference. And the great thing is, you don't need ages to see a change.
No, not at all.
We're talking about quick adjustments that can make your English sound much more interesting, much more, well, natural, instantly clarifying how you live your life.
And what we're zeroing in on are adverbs of frequency. You probably know them as AOFs.
Like always, never, sometimes, those guys.
Exactly. They seem simple, but they're absolutely fundamental for talking about how often something happens. They answer that basic question everyone asks in conversation. So how often do you?
So that's our mission for this deep dive. We're going to unpack AOFs completely.
Everything you need.
Yeah, we've got this cool percentage trick to help remember them.
A great little shortcut.
And then the big one, the 3 placement rules. These are non-negotiable if you want to sound right.
Get those wrong, and it's a dead giveaway.
Right. And then we'll look at how real learners use these in conversation, drawing from some dialogues in our sources.
Filling out their secrets, so to say.
Exactly. So by the end, you'll have the tools to talk about your routines confidently and sound genuinely fluent.
Okay, so let's just quickly lay the groundwork. Adverbs, generally speaking, they modify things, right?
They describe verbs, adjectives, other adverbs.
Yeah. And most people think of the ones ending in "-ly. Quickly, happily, carefully.
The classic examples. But you mentioned exceptions earlier.
Oh, definitely. And they catch people out all the time. Like your example, fast. You run fast.
Not fastly. That just sounds wrong.
It is wrong. And a lot of these adverbs of frequency, like always, often, never, they don't have that endly ending.
Which might be why they get a bit tricky sometimes.
Could be. They're a special group because they specifically tell us about time. How often, how frequently.
Okay, so how do we get a handle on which one to use? You mentioned a percentage shortcut.
Yes, this is a really useful tool, especially when you're learning. Think of frequency on a scale from 0% to 100%. Associating each AOF with a rough percentage helps clarify its meaning.
Makes sense. So where do we start? The ends of the scale.
Exactly. Let's lock down the absolutes first. 100%. Certainty. Something happens all the time.
That has to be. Always.
Correct. Always. Like in the notes, Sarah always has coffee in the morning. That means every single morning, without fail. 100%.
It's fixed.
Okay. Easy enough. What about the other end? 0%.
That's never. Something that just doesn't happen. At all.
Like, he is never late for class, meaning his lateness percentage is 0.
Precisely. Or Eric never enjoys going to the dentist. 0 enjoyment, 0 times. These two always and never are your fixed points. 100% and 0%.
Got it. So everything else fits in between.
Right. And this is where it gets more, let's say, subjective, or what linguists call indefinite frequency. The percentages are more like guidelines, giving you a general idea.
Okay, so just below 100%, like almost perfect.
Yeah, that 90 to 99% range. That's where usually or almost always come in.
So if Oliver usually eats a healthy dinner?
It means maybe 9 times out of 10, maybe 95% of the time he does. It's a very strong habit, but you leave room for that occasional pizza night.
Okay. What about slightly less? Say 90% on the dot.
Good question. For that most of the time feeling, we often use frequently or maybe regularly. Like, you frequently wake up early. It implies it happens a lot, probably by choice.
Exactly. High frequency, consistent, but not quite 100%.
All right, stepping down again. Maybe the 70 to 89% zone, many times, but not most.
That's a perfect description for often. We often visit our grandparents on the weekends.
Means it happens a lot, maybe 3 weekends out of 4, but definitely not every single one.
Spot on. It's common, it recurs.
And then smack bang in the middle, 50%.
Ah, the classic 50-50. That's sometime.
Half the time, yes, half the time, no. Like flipping a coin. We sometimes go to the beach.
Exactly. And sometimes it's interesting because it can be quite ambiguous depending on the context.
How so?
Well, if you say, She sometimes goes on vacation during the holidays. If the holidays are only once a year, sometimes might mean every other year.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about weekend activities, sometimes could mean 2 or 3 times a month. The 50% is just a conceptual marker, not a hard number.
That's a really good point. Context is key for sometimes. So what's below 50%? The not very often zone.
That brings us to occasionally. Maybe around 30 to 49%.
I occasionally work from home. Means less than half the time. Maybe just when needed.
Perfect example.
Right.
Or I occasionally have wine with dinner. It's not rare, but it's definitely not frequent.
Okay, getting close to zero now. How about that 10 to 29% range? Once in a blue moon territory.
Yeah, once in a while. Here you'd use seldom or rarely. They're pretty much interchangeable these days.
Like, Pavel seldom watches television. You understand it's not a habit. Maybe just 10% of the time he could be watching TV. He actually is.
Right. Very infrequent.
And the last step before zero, like 1 to 9%. Almost never.
That's the sweet spot for hardly ever.
She hardly ever eats fast food. It's like saying practically never, but you acknowledge maybe once a year it could happen.
Exactly. It's just a sliver above zero. So you see, using this scale helps you pick the right word, making your description much more precise and, honestly, more believable.
Okay, so we've got this scale for indefinite frequency usually, sometimes rarely giving a general sense.
Yeah, a general idea.
Yeah.
Which is fine for a lot of casual chat.
But what if you need to be exact, like really specific about timing?
Then you need a different tool. You need definite adverbs of frequency.
Okay. Definite implies precision.
Exactly. These tell you an exact period or an exact count. Think schedules, deadlines, contracts, situations where ambiguity is not good.
So what do these look like? Are they the Imlay words again?
Some are. You have the regular intervals, daily meaning every single day, weekly, monthly, yearly. You can also use annually instead of yearly.
Chris submits his reports daily. Clear as day, no room for doubt.
Precisely. But definite frequency also covers phrases that specify a count within a period.
Like 3 times a week.
Exactly. 3 times per week, twice per month, once a year. These are super specific.
Our team meets twice per week. Everyone knows exactly when and how often.
No ambiguity whatsoever. We should probably also mention constantly.
Constantly. That feels a bit like an exaggeration sometimes.
It can be used that way, like he's constantly forgetting his keys. But technically, it means continuously, every moment. It implies an unbroken action, even if used loosely.
Okay, so we have indefinite for general feel, definite for exact times. What's the catch?
The catch, or rather, the crucial rule that many learners miss is placement. The placement for definite adverbs is different and much stricter.
Stricter how?
Definite adverbs of frequency always go at the end of the sentence. Always.
Always at the end, unlike the indefinite ones.
Correct. Indefinite ones, as we'll see, have more flexible placement, but definite ones, end of the line.
So it's I go to the gym 3 times per week.
Yes. Not I 3 times per week go to the gym. That sounds very unnatural.
Or the company publishes results annually.
Perfect. The definite adverb or phrase acts like the final timestamp on the action.
So the takeaway for you listening is, if you need clarity, if people seem confused when you say often,
Switch to a definite adverb. Instead of, our team discusses sales often, which could mean anything.
say our team discusses sales daily or weekly or twice per week.
Exactly. It makes you sound precise, professional, and it cuts through any potential confusion. It's a simple switch with a big impact.
Right, placement. This seems to be where things can really go sideways if you're not careful. Getting these indefinite adverbs in the wrong spot is a major flag for sounding unnatural.
It really is. But the good news is there are basically just 3 core rules to master for the indefinite ones, like always, usually, often, sometimes, rarely, never.
3 rules. Okay, we can handle that. What's rule number 1?
Rule 1, regular verbs. This covers most verbs, the action words that aren't the verb to be. For these, the AOF comes before the main verb.
Before the verb, okay.
The structure is pretty simple. Subject plus adverb of frequency plus main verb, then the rest of the sentence.
Can we have an example?
Sure. She usually drinks herbal tea. Drinks at the main verb usually comes right before it.
Okay. Does it work in past tense too?
Yep. I rarely mention the problem. Mention as the main verb rarely slots in before it. It puts the focus on the frequency of the action.
Simple enough. Subject, adverb, verb, but you mentioned to be is different.
Ah, yes. The troublemaker. The verb to be, am, is, are, was, were, follows its own path.
So what's the rule when to be is the main verb of the sentence?
That's rule 2, the verb to be. Here, the placement flips.
Right.
The adverb of frequency comes after the form of to be.
After, okay, so it's the reverse of rule 1.
Exactly. The structure becomes subject plus form of to be plus adverb of frequency.
Like, he is always happy to help is the verb always comes after it.
Perfect. Or I am rarely late. Am is the verb rarely follows.
They were often tired after practice. Were is the verb often comes after.
You got it. This is a really common point of error. Putting the adverb before is or are. Remembering this after to be rule cleans up a lot of awkward sentences.
Okay, 2 rules down. Before regular verbs, after to be. What's rule 3? Sounds like it might be more complex.
It handles slightly more complex sentences. Rule 3, auxiliary or modal verbs.
Auxiliaries like have, do, be when they're helping another verb. And modals like can, will, should, might.
Exactly those. When you have one of these helping verbs along with the main verb, the adverb of frequency gets sandwiched between them.
Sandwiched in the middle. Okay.
The structure is subject plus auxiliary modal plus adverb of frequency plus main verb.
Let's try one. She will always try her best.
Perfect. Will is the modal, try is the main verb, always sits right in between.
What about with have, like in perfect tenses?
Good one. I've never seen that movie.
Have is the auxiliary, seen is the main verb, never goes in the middle. That's super common with never.
Very common. It works with other auxiliaries too. He doesn't usually complain. Doesn't. Do not is the auxiliary, usually is between do and complain.
What about something trickier like passive voice or continuous tenses?
Same principle applies. The report is often reviewed carefully. Is the auxiliary here. Reviewed is the main verb, often fits between them.
Or even multiple auxiliaries like he should never have done that.
Excellent example. Should is the modal, have is an auxiliary. The adverb, never, still goes right after the first helping verb, which is should.
Wow, okay. So it's always after the first auxiliary or modal if there's more than one.
That's the key. So those are the 3 core rules. 1, before the main verb. 2, after to be. 3, between the auxiliary modal and the main verb.
That covers most situations, right?
Pretty much 99% for indefinite adverbs. We should add a small note about flexibility, though.
Flexibility. I thought these rules were rigid.
The placement rules are generally rigid for grammatical correctness, but a few adverbs, especially sometimes, can be moved for emphasis.
How so?
You can correctly say, I sometimes go for a walk following Rule 1,
Right.
but especially in writing or for stylistic flair, you can move it to the front. Sometimes, I go for a walk.
Okay. To highlight the sometimes aspect.
Exactly. Occasionally, and usually can sometimes do this too, but sometimes it's the most common one you'll see move to the front. But for reliability, sticking to the 3 main rules is the safest bet for sounding natural.
All right, so we have the concepts, the percentages, the placement rules. That's the theory.
The building blocks.
Now let's see how this works in practice. AOFs are, like you said, the language of routine. Using them well is a huge step towards sounding more native when you talk about your daily life.
Definitely. And our sources include this great little dialogue between 2 students, Tom and Sarah. They're talking about balancing school, work, life, the usual juggle.
And they use AOFs naturally. Let's break that down.
Okay, so Sarah starts off talking about the balance. She says it's sometimes a challenge.
Right, using that 50% marker. It's not always hard, not never hard, just sometimes. Placement seems okay there after is.
Yeah, it fits Rule 2. Then she describes her morning. I usually get up at 7 a.m.
Okay, usually that's high frequency, maybe 90–95% before the main verb get up, Rule 1.
Spot on. And she adds, and often go to work by bus.
Often? Maybe 70–80%, again, before the main verb go, Rule 1 again. She's painting a picture of consistent but not absolute habit.
Exactly. Then Tom jumps in. He lives far from work, so he says he nearly always goes by car.
Ooh, nearly always. That's a good one, like 99%. It's better than just always because it allows for that rare exception, like if his car's in the shop.
Precisely. It adds that touch of realism. Rule 1 again, before it goes.
And Sarah immediately connects this to his classroom state. Is that why you're always sleepy?
And look at the placement. Always comes after are. Rule 2 in action, describing his constant state.
Perfect. Then the conversation shifts to free time. Sarah says she hardly ever has free time.
Hardly ever, down near 19%.
Yeah.
Minimal free time. And the placement.
Before the main verb has, Rule 1 again.
But then she mentions something she does do regularly. She bakes cookies every week.
A switch. Every week isn't indefinite, it's definite frequency.
Exactly. And where does she put it?
Right at the end of the sentence, just like the rule we discussed. Bakes cookies and cupcakes every week.
See how she contrasts the general low frequency, hardly ever has time, with the specific high frequency every week bakes. That's natural usage.
Nice. And Tom, his hobby.
He says he occasionally cycles. About 30% frequency, maybe. placed before cycles, following Rule 1. Their conversation flows naturally because they're using the right adverbs in the right places.
Okay, but the dialogue gets really interesting when Sarah asks about Tom's great test score. She says she never sees him studying.
Right, using that 0% adverb. And Tom reveals his secret. Listen to how he uses frequency adverbs to explain his routine.
He says he frequently stays up late.
Frequently high frequency, maybe 90%, before stays. Rule 1. He explains it's to talk to a friend online in a different time zone.
So the late nights aren't just random. Then he talks about his actual study method.
He says he generally focuses on vocabulary before class.
Generally. Similar to usually.
Yeah.
High frequency, before focuses, Rule 1.
But here's the crucial part of his secret. It's not just learning the words.
It's using them, right? He makes sure to use the new vocabulary in conversation the next day.
Yes. It's about immediate, consistent application. His success wasn't magic. It was a defined, high-frequency routine.
And how does he sum it up?
He concludes, daily practice is the key.
Boom. Another definite adverb, daily, placed right where it needs to be for emphasis in this summary statement. His whole explanation relies on frequency to convey his method.
And that's a huge insight for you listening. Fluency isn't just about knowing stuff. It's about building high-frequency habits, just like Tom did.
Absolutely. So we've seen how to use them to describe ourselves. How do we use them to ask about others?
Good question. They're essential for inquiring about routines, two main ways.
Okay.
First, simple yes-no questions. You just follow the placement rules we learned. Do you often go hiking?
Here often comes between the auxiliary do and the main verb go, Rule 3.
Exactly. Or, is she always on time?
Always comes after is, Rule 2.
Right. But for really opening up a conversation, the best tool is starting with how often.
Ah, the direct question about frequency.
Yes. How often do you go hiking? How often do you practice speaking?
And the answer almost forces the other person to use an AOF, doesn't it?
It does. They'll likely respond with rarely, usually twice a week, using the very scale and terms we've been discussing. It's the perfect way to get beyond surface-level chat and into real routines and habits. Hashtag outro.
Okay, so wrapping this deep dive up, it feels like the message is clear. Don't underestimate these small frequency words. They're fundamental for sounding natural.
Absolutely. They're the difference between just listing actions and actually describing a life, a routine.
So let's quickly recap the main takeaways for achieving that fluency boost.
First, that percentage scale. Think of it as your internal guide. Is this action 95%? Usually. 50%, sometimes. 10%, rarely. That helps you choose the right words.
Like, get the meaning clear first. Second, know the difference between indefinite and definite frequency.
Use general words like often for casual talk, but switch to precise terms like weekly or daily when clarity is crucial.
And crucially, remember definite frequency adverbs go at the end of the sentence.
Always. And third, master those 3 placement rules for the indefinite guys.
Rule 1, before the main verb, he seldom runs.
Rule 2, after the verb to be, she is always ready.
Rule 3, between the auxiliary modal and the main verb, I have never seen it.
Nailing that placement is key to avoiding that robotic sound.
Definitely. Now, thinking back to Tom, our successful student, he really understood habit formation. He mentioned something specific, didn't he? About sleep.
He did. He said he never goes to bed after midnight.
Never. 0% commitment. He protected his rest.
That's a conscious choice about frequency to achieve a goal. And that brings us to a final thought for you, the listener.
Yeah.
Think about your own English learning habits right now. Applying Tom's logic, what's one thing you need to start doing, always 100% commitment starting this week?
Like maybe reviewing vocabulary daily.
Could be. Or speaking practice daily. And conversely, what's one unhelpful habit or distraction you need to commit to stopping never 0% commitment?
Like never skipping a planned study session.
Perhaps. Making those specific high-frequency or zero-frequency adjustments is how you consciously build fluency. It's about deliberate practice.
That's a great challenge. So don't just listen, apply it. Right now, maybe try writing down 3 sentences about your own routine. Use always, usually, or rarely.
And double-check the placement against those 3 rules. Make it active.
Exactly. Put it into practice immediately. Thanks so much for joining us on this deep dive into adverbs of frequency.
Hope it was helpful.
Tune in next time for more insights to boost your English skills.